please start.
Yeah, you guys can continue.
Athreya, you're recording on cloud, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I can see that there are 11 people talking today. So we'll keep 5, 4, and 6 again. So is the recording starting? Okay. The rules are simple. We'll have 5 people for the topic and 6 people against the topic. We'll alternate with each other. The against people can start first since there are 6 people. And each of you will be given, initially 5 minutes will be given to note down points, whatever things you would like to talk about. And you will be given, Gayatri, am I right if it's 2 minutes per person, or is it 5 minutes per person to talk?
See, there is no minimum time today. Today being a warm-up session, the maximum is 5 minutes. They should not cross 5 minutes.
Okay. So the topic is simple. I know all of you love food, so there'll be the pro topic would be you should eat food. I mean, you live only to eat. So what do you think it is like? Why do you think people should live only to eat? And the against would be people should eat only to live. So these are topics you're going to be talking about.
Maitri, you have to give the names for and against so that they know what they have to prepare for.
So yeah, I'll put it in the chat so you can remember.
Oh, Maitri ji.
Yeah.
I quite didn't get the topic. I didn't understand.
People live to eat.
Okay, so why do they live to eat?
Yeah. No, not why do they live. So you go pro for that, and against would be you should not do that.
Okay.
So
basically, you live to eat or eat to live?
Yes.
I have a doubt. So is this like 2 topics for now, or is it because you have, okay.
So topic would be whatever I've put in the chat. So for would be
it's simple, Shiva. People live to eat. Yes. People live to eat. No. That's all. For and against.
Yeah.
No, people don't live to eat.
Okay, fine.
You can also tell why you do that, why you don't do that.
Yeah. So can you first, Maitri, read out the names for and against, because they don't know what to prepare for.
No, I'm just writing down. So I'm writing in the chat so you can get to know.
Okay.
Excuse me, Auntie. It's Sharadi here.
Yeah. Yes, Sharadi.
Yeah, Auntie, I have to be leaving early because I have preparatories going on. So I didn't want to bail on this, so I just came to participate. I'll have to leave early.
So put for people name.
Yeah, so Sharadi, you'll be given, you want to be the first one to speak then?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So initially 5 to 7 minutes will be given for preparation, and then Maitri will start calling out the names.
Okay.
I request everyone, whoever is participating, please turn on your videos till the session ends.
So, are you guys ready? Sharadi?
No, I want a little more time.
Okay. Whoever is ready can just start. We can change the order.
I'd like to start.
Go ahead, Shriram.
Yeah. Can I start?
Yeah. Is anyone keeping the timer?
Should I keep the timer?
Just to know how long every person is talking.
I'll keep the timer.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. There is no doubt about the. Can I start?
Yeah, start. Go ahead.
There is no doubt about the fact that the human body is an extremely complex machine. It's very much similar to a machine. But the complexity of the human body is immense. So we can take the analogy of a human body with a simpler machine like a bike. Many of you own bikes. So when you ride a bike, when you use a bike, most of the time you use it for riding, for traveling. And only once in a while, you need to add fuel to it to give it some energy. Imagine, what would you do with a bike that you need to add fuel 3 times a day and give it some rest in between, and on top of that, add additional expenses like servicing? You would throw the bike away. Take an example of a living being, excluding humans. An animal, take a lion. We have these very enthusiastic National Geographic cameramen who observe animals, and we get to see them. So what do you observe? We see that lions go for hunting once in 2 days, once in 3 days, or even less frequently than that. No animal in the world eats 3 times a day, and on top of that needs some sleep after lunch. It's a highly inefficient practice that we human beings are following in this very developed civilization. Not only this, this fact is proven even by the practices of fasting in various cultures. In Hinduism, fasting is prescribed on various days, like Vaikuntha Ekadashi, Navaratri. There are many people who fast during these auspicious days. So this is to signify the importance of fasting and to show how you need to start eating less and being more productive. It would be fine if we stopped at eating, but it's not like that. We need to eat, then you need to rest for some time for the food to digest. Before it finishes digesting, we put in food again. So this is a very inefficient practice, even in our very developed society, so-called developed society. Therefore, this practice of living for eating must stop. This will also put an end to various diseases like obesity and diabetes. Thank you.
Yeah, can I go?
Yes.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharadi, and I'll be speaking for people live to eat. So here, we must not confuse ourselves that living for eating is not a bad thing. Living for eating means to enjoy food, to be involved in that food, and to eat healthy also. So eating would be not always like junk, but okay, we can also tell that who people are telling that eating to live. So that part of the phrase, that means you can eat junk also and you live. That doesn't mean that you'll be living fulfilling. So you can eat whatever you want. You can eat healthy also. You can eat whatever you want and you can be happy. So everybody may know some examples also are there in your life too, that you eat something very tasty on a gloomy day and you become very happy later. That can be a saving point. You be very sad in some day, it will be some bad day, and you eat a piece of donut or a piece of cake, and that can really uplift your mood. Why is that happening? Because it's important that you be happy for a while, and primarily eating can make it very simple, because eating is just you take it and have it. So to make yourself happy, the first step you can be like, eat some junk or eat some thing very tasty what you like. So that also can be there. Happiness is also important, and that is a very easy way to get happiness. So if you eat something healthy, this phrase can matter most. So I agree to what Sriram told about fasting and everything, but keeping yourself happy is also one important thing. That's it. I have to tell. Thank you.
Who is next, Maitri? Can you call out the name?
So I think Shiva will go next.
I'm really sorry, but can I please have more time?
Okay. Adish, are you ready?
Okay.
Yeah, I can start. Just a second. Can I start?
Yes, Adish.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Adish and I'm speaking for why people live to eat. I believe people live to eat as if you are given stale or raw food in simpler terms. Your health at first starts to deteriorate. Then slowly, your immune system starts to worsen day by day. On the other hand, people who eat everything or basically everything included in our diet, they are very normal and good looking. They are not as weak as those who eat stale or raw food every day. Their immune system is at the best. They do not look pale and weak as the other people. Now, on the other hand, fasting, as mentioned by Sriram, is a good practice, but the happiness of eating your favorite food slowly and nourishing it brings immense joy in the mind. Now, all of you can answer me here. Is that wrong? Bringing happiness to yourself, is that wrong? Uh, Now, as for the people who do not like or do not live to eat, they always have a constant idea at their mind. And what should I do other than eating? Eating is the last option I ever want to do in my life. That is what they have in their mind. Now that they have to cancel, because sometimes what happens, people fall into depression because of that, because of this mindset. Sometimes now, if people change their mindset slowly, what happens that they themselves bring joy to themselves by eating food, by nourishing it slowly, by having it in mind that I'm happy. This is what I want. So if they get this, they can overcome what we call as depression. But I would like to say they can overcome their own bad mindset. They can be happy for once and all for in life if they choose to live to eat. That's what I believe. Thank you.
Sorry, I thought I was on mute. So Shiva, are you ready?
Almost.
Okay. Do you want some more time?
Yeah, I'm really.
Manya.
Yes,
Sorry,
my
did you say
teacher.
your? So did Shiva say he needs more time? I kind of didn't get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Manya, are you ready?
Yeah.
Can you?
Hariom, everybody. Like as we've seen in most of the scriptures, they suggest that the kind of food you eat depends on how your life is ahead. Many books also say that the person who cooks your food and the emotions that's running in his mind also depends on the emotion you will undergo after eating that food. So most of the people suggest you not to eat outside. Why so? Because you don't really know what the person who's cooking your food in a restaurant is actually undergoing. What is the hygiene he is following? And how he is going to prepare it? What are the methods he is going to use? But you always know what kind of mood your mother is on. So she's always happy. She cooks your food so that you enjoy and love eating your food. And when you eat it in a happy state, then also your day is also going to continue being happy. Also, it is suggested by some studies that people who watched news while having their food and really hot controversial debates also, they mostly had some really tough times in their days where they when they also used to fight with people for small little things in their work or job. Also, when we observe our lifestyle, most of it is food centered. We study so that we get into a good job. We go to a job so that we can afford to eat something we like. If we look at the period where the earth actually was formed and humans were just started living, we can see that humans did nothing but just hunting and hunted because they had to eat. That's it. If anything else was done, then that was just to protect themselves. Also, as Sriram said, that fasting is said to be followed to reduce eating, then I think it's wrong, because scriptures suggest it's not to reduce what we eat. It's not suggesting that start eating less. It just suggests that the undigested food which is in your stomach, you need to give it some time to get digested so that it doesn't turn into poison in your stomach. So that's again showing the importance of eating fresh and also to properly digest it. Fasting also should be done, but it also suggests that the lack of exercising which we do in our modern life today, in recent in like if we go back to time, then people did more of physical work. They were mostly farmers, peasants, laborers, and those kind of people, if they ate more, they got energy with it. Whatever we did is actually related something to eating. So I believe some or the other way, directly or indirectly, we live to eat. Thank you.
Okay. So, Atreya, are you ready?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Atreya. I'll be speaking against living to eat. So, we need to eat to sustain our life, to live, to give our body energy, and to do the work we need to do. That is the main point of eating, and it has been for centuries from the birth of human. We also uh, need to eat to survive and all of that, yeah. And by eating, we can aim on particular stuff. Like if you want to get rid of diabetes, you can choose a diet and eat according to that. Or if you want to get rid of obesity, you can look towards that and eat towards that. Or if you have an exam coming and you want to focus more on what you're doing, then you can change to a different kind of diet. But if you live to eat, you will focus more on eating than what your goal is. Not on your diabetes, not on your studies, not on that. You will think of what is next to eat, what you need to eat next. You'll be like, oh, I need to eat this, I need to eat that. I can't eat, survive without eating this. It doesn't mean you don't need to enjoy what you're eating. You can enjoy what you're eating, even if it's on a diet. You can enjoy that. It doesn't mean it doesn't have. It has to be, not tasty, like really gross. It can be really nice also. Doesn't mean it has to be something bad. When you're on a diet, you can focus on what your main goal is and aim towards that and eat according to that. So this would make your body a much healthier body, your mind a much healthier mind, And also the kind of food you eat also matters. So you can think about what you're eating rather than what you want to eat. And you can also enjoy that. Doesn't mean you don't have to enjoy it. Thank you.
Next would be Vineet. Is Vineet there?
Yeah, I'm there. Am I visible?
Yes. Yeah, I can see you. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So before we start the debate, I would like to make it very clear that when I say I live to eat, I say we are living to eat healthy food. In other words, live to eat, living to eat healthy food. Vivekananda himself said, "Sound body, sound mind." Only if we are able to, only if we are happy, can we be healthy. So if I live to eat, several people who say they eat to live are not giving enough priority to the food they eat, because they're just their priority is living, and they don't care much about what they eat. But that's where it's a problem. What we eat is what we become. That's quite common, and I'm pretty sure all of you have heard that. So if we the ones who say we eat to live, they don't give so much priority to the food they eat, and that's causing a problem. And also, before I would like to show you some statistics on what the majority of the world eats. If you ask, the majority of the world would say they eat to live, and this is what it tells us. So 85% of us go for taste when we ask what's the reason for choosing what we eat. And taste is the number one reasons, even for the ones who say we eat to live. So this is just proving it, that we are giving the health and what's inside the food a backseat, and giving taste a front seat for the ones who say they eat to live. And what is most liked by people? Junk food is all is and 36% is by junk food. People like junk food the most compared to anything else. And how often do people eat? It also says that uh, people usually eat fast food or junk food once a week, and that's because they eat to live. They don't care about what they eat. They just eat such that they can uh, keep living and keep moving on, and therefore it gives their tongue a front seat again, and that's the problem. um, so the world has taken this in a wrong way, and the ones who say they eat to live are actually not doing that. Instead, as we have seen on the statistics I told earlier, that majority of us are are blindly saying that we eat to live, instead that we are just eating for our tongue. And this living is also taking a hit, because if we eat junk food, or if we eat for our tongue, that's what the people who say they're living to eat to live, that's what's happening. They're giving their tongue a front seat, and we are living for our tongue. And that's why when they say they eat to live, the living is also getting an impact. So these are the reasons why I would say, if we live to eat, we would give what something. If we want, we would give the eating part a front seat, and we would prioritize that and make sure we eat healthy food, healthy alternatives, instead of something for our tongue. And this is all. It just depends on what you give the priority to. In this case, we gave the priority to our eating, and that's why we went through it and we did it. Even Gautama Buddha, when he was meditating, he didn't eat for a while, and then a woman came and told him, "If you don't eat, you won't live." And that's where it all ends. We eat to live. Sorry, I want to say, we live to eat. So that's where it all ends. Thank you. Hari Om.
Kritika? Is Kritika there?
I think it's Sai Kriti.
Oh, sorry.
Sai Kriti, are you there?
Sai Kritika.
Sai Kritika, are you there? I think we can go to the next person.
Shiva, are you ready now?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can I start?
Yeah.
So before we used to survive and live, and you do all the work before in the Stone Ages, for example, we used to do all work. We used to live in caves, make clothes and all that stuff. And we used to eat a bit so that we can get the energy we required for that. And also how much they ate, that's how much they worked. Like for if they ate something, they worked so much that all they have eaten has been used up, and that little energy they have kept it for next day. And it was a very efficient practice. Everyone was fit at those times. There was no obesity as such. That disease hadn't come at that time. And now after the agricultural revolution, everyone has a lot of food now. If we were any other animal, we would have eaten how much ever we wanted and we would have left the rest. But because we are human beings, we eat more for the taste we want and we neglect our body behind. The more we eat, the more our body gets damaged. It's not like you should not eat as such. You should eat as much as we need, and it should be healthy. Because of that, we are getting many diseases such as diabetes and heart diseases, where people are suffering from heart attacks and like that. So now, if we keep eating for taste, then our body gets more destroyed. And then finally, we won't be able to eat also what we want. We'll be ending up eating stuff we don't like as such. It still gives us energy. Whatever food we eat gives us energy, and we should choose the better one. And if we don't eat food like medicine, eat it very less, so that we eat as much as we want, and two, we conserve food also. Then we have to start eating medicine like food. For example, now we start eating fast food and everything, then we'll get disease like obesity, as I've said before. And then we have to take medicines for that. Then we have to take medicines regularly, and then our body starts depending on those medicines, and that's how our life will become. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Shiva's done. Siddharth?
Yeah.
Siddharth, right? Yeah.
Am I audible?
Is he there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Siddharth, can you turn on your video?
Yeah, I'm not able to see you. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's fair to say that people live to eat. That's for the topic, because food is one of the three fundamental necessities for survival. It's along with air and water. And then there's something that's been classified as Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is an evaluation of everything that we use in our life and exactly how valuable it is to our survival. And it turns out food falls in the lowest level. That is one of the most fundamental necessities for life, along with water, rest, and warmth. Out of these, food is different because food, exactly when we take food, is regulated by our schedules of the day, and when we sleep is regulated by schedules of the day. And both of these have an interesting correlation to each other. So our body responds differently to different food items, and our mental and physical health depend on it. And for example, food makes us feel sleepy. Then after we sleep, we have breakfast or an early lunch or whatever, and that cycle continues. As we eat, we feel closer to that sleepy state, and as soon as we recover from that sleepy state, we feel the necessity to eat. So also people get affected psychologically when they are insufficiently fed. Food is responsible for feelings of reward and anticipation, and these are associated with happiness and contentment. So, all sorts of animals have this natural reflex where they respond in a positive way by either salivating or other neurological responses to being provided with food. And another important point is meal times act as anchors for the rest of our schedule. So I might wake up in the morning and my day might be started off with an early breakfast and then a lunch at a set time, then dinner at a set time. And this cycle continues every day. And meal times are evenly spaced. For example, breakfast comes in the morning after waking up, and 4 to 5 hours after that comes lunch, and then 6 to 7 hours after that comes dinner. And these periods, a period between meal times is often the most productive. People are usually productive in the mornings before breakfast, mornings after breakfast and before lunch, or between lunch and dinner, or after dinner. I also have felt that levels of productivity, mine personally, change between meals. So this shows us how important food is to our daily lives and how they are the fundamental anchors to our daily routines. And earlier, Sriram and Shiva said that fasting is important. I mean, sure, but obviously you can't fast every day without eating at all. It is a fundamental necessity of life. And also, they both said that other animals don't eat thrice a day and take naps after that. And also, I'd like to point out that no other animal actually builds cities and has civilizations and makes schedules of the days. All those other animals, they live basically only on the natural impulses and instincts, and humans are naturally more intelligent than those animals. And also, the economic reason is that the food industry is one of the largest industries in the world. And then, so many people's lives are defined by and categorized by, and their occupation depends on other people's eating and their provision for other people to eat. The food industry is one of the largest industries in the world. It provides an immense number of people with jobs. It consists a large portion of a country's economy and trade. And every time we eat, we take from and give back to this economic machine. So all of this is a huge part of everyone's life, and food is an integral part of it. Food is Therefore food is an integral part of life, and therefore we can say that people live to eat.
Okay, thank you. Miral? Is Miral there? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Miral
Yes.
is there.
Okay.
Eating should not be our favorite activity, but it is to maintain our health. We must have balanced diet, eat lot of raw fruits and vegetables. According to me, fasting like ekadasis are done once
Miral,
in 15 to clean our intestine.
Miral, your voice is breaking a lot for me. I'm not able to hear.
Repeat it again. 1 minute, I'll check my connection.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Meanwhile, Maitri, did we miss out?
I don't think I mean, did I miss out on anyone? Adish, Manya, Ojal is, did I call Ojal?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Miral is back.
Yes. Is it okay?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I repeat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Eating should not be our favorite activity, but it is to maintain our health. We must have balanced diet, eat lot of raw vegetables and fruits. According to me, fasting like ekadashis are done in 15 days to clean our intestine.
Are you done, Miral?
Thank you. Yes.
Are you done?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So I have to leave right now. So I think second round will be conducted by Gayatri. I'm sorry I have to leave in the middle. Today is my last day of college, so I have a lot of work going on suddenly. So I'm sorry for it. I'll be there next time. So Gayatri, can you carry on? I have given feedback to her. She'll just give it at the end. You guys carry on with the second round, okay?
Okay,
I'll leave
thanks
now,
a lot.
guys. Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, Maitriji.
Thank you, Maitri.
Thank you, Maitriji, for coming.
Uh, Ojal, can you start?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I will be speaking for people live to eat. So yes, as without it, without food, we won't be able to survive. Though we can live without food for 2 months, that will only happen when we have a sufficient intake of water, which is rare to find in situations where we need to survive without any resources. And even if we can live without food, our bodily functions and our energy in general would deplete immensely, which is not ideal for survival. And even though everybody takes different amounts of food and their appetite differ, the main thing that they need is the food. A sign of depression is the loss of appetite. And a lot of our mental health depends on food. Like without sunlight, you would feel very sad, depressed, like you would lose the color from your life. So why is food any different? And food is important. It is one of the first things a person secures when they want to move to a new place or adapt. Fasting, now this is a topic that has been going around the debate. Fasting can also be viewed in another way. It is something that helps us understand the value of food. It helps us go through what people who are deprived of food go through. And living to eat does not necessarily mean that you have to be addicted to eating. It just means that it is one of the most primary parts that you need to live. And junk food is only liked so much because junk food is something that we get only once in a while. If you eat junk food for a long time, you would eventually get bored of it, wouldn't you? And your health would deteriorate. So basically, it all depends on control. Thank you.
Thanks, Ojal. So the second round is it's open for debating. So whoever, yeah, please raise your hands. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, if your videos are not turned on and if you raise your hands, I cannot see. Please turn on your videos, at least the participants. Okay, I'll go ahead with Sharadi first.
Yeah. I would like to highlight 2-3 points which were told in these arguments. First, my point was, again, let's not confuse that living for eating is not it's not a bad thing. It can be healthy eating also. And healthy eating also is included in the list. So we can just involve that in our argument list, whatever we are arguing. And the other thing is I support Manya by she told about fasting in her sentence, that fasting is cleansing the body for a while. So yeah, that is also true that we use fasting for cleansing our body like for 1 day or 2 days, but we cannot stay in fasting for all the time, or alternate days we can't fast. We can't do that also. And another thing is most of us we mentioned obesity in our argument. Let me make sure that obesity is not only by overeating. It can be hereditary or thyroid, any other conditions, but obesity is not only caused by overeating. There are other causes for it also. Yeah, that's my argument. Thank you.
Okay, Sriram.
One main point that was highlighted by everyone in the opposition was that people eat for happiness and that there's nothing wrong in eating for happiness. I agree with you. There's nothing wrong in eating for happiness. There's nothing wrong in spending your entire day thinking about what to eat for the next meal. And neither is there anything wrong with thinking only about food. Food gives happiness, yes. But one day when eating that donut becomes a habit and it turns out into a disease like diabetes, you will look back. You will look back and you'll think why I did not change my lifestyle earlier. So the debate is not about what is wrong and what is right, it's about which is better. So definitely eating what was required and fasting is the best choice of diet. It was said by someone, that Manya in fact, that fasting during auspicious days is to give time for digestion. That in fact is the point of eating less. Eating less does not mean you reduce the quantity of food. Eating less implies increasing the time gap between your meals so that the body has enough time to digest the food that has already been thrown into it. Our practice instead is throwing in food at very short intervals of time and confusing the body. It was pointed out by Vineet that the people who say that they eat to live focus on the taste and the quality of the food, and they want fast foods and all that. But I don't see how this is eating to live, because this sounds more like living to eat if you're focusing on the food. Even if you eat just to live, it doesn't mean you start eating foods that don't taste good. For example, we don't live to study, but we desire a quality education. And he also gave the example of Buddha, who had spent who had spent months without eating and had ended up in a very poor situation. This once again strengthens our point, because when we say eat to live, it means eat just to live, not dedicating your entire life to food. Siddharth also said that we have the system of eating because we are more developed and we have a greater intellect. But I would like to say that because of this intellect, we have developed this wrong fashion of eating and eating and eating. When I point out the example of a lion, I wanted to emphasize the cycle in nature. Nature does not give emphasis on continuous eating, and we are having a wrong practice by eating more than we require, just to satisfy our taste buds.
Okay, Sriram, I think we should go to Adish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as just now he mentioned again about the lion eating its prey, and it eats not for taste, but to fulfill its hunger. I would like to point out that animals and humans are different. Animals don't have the understanding of whether they want to eat this or whether they like to eat it. They just know that they have to eat. Otherwise, they're gonna starve and die at some point. They have the knowledge of this much. We humans know that we like this set of food and we dislike this set of food. We like to eat this set of food more than usual, and this food is whenever we are not so moody. So, and Shiva mentioned about diabetes and obesity. I mean, all from the opposite group, almost everyone mentioned about diabetes and obesity. This is caused due to one's own misconception or body type, or it can be a genetical disorder, or they have a weak immune system. It can be any reason for that. Diabetes, its scientific name is hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia means nothing but the body contains excess glucose, which can happen to anyone who eats more sugar. So that should be controlled by themselves. Now, this doesn't mean that we stop living, means to eat in this context. It doesn't mean that we stop living to eat. That's it.
Manya?
Yeah, so the first point I would like to mention is I saw most of you spoke about obesity and diabetes, but I didn't see anybody speaking about the children who are dying due to malnutrition. Around 68% of children who die under the age of 5 die out of malnutrition. This shows why eating is something which plays a very necessary role in our life. And as I said, most of the things we do in our day-to-day life is mostly food centered. Here's a book I would like to show you, Decoding Fitness. And in this book, there is an entire chapter which says you are what you eat. And there's another chapter which relates the roles between how your mind functions about what you eat. And there's another one, it says that what your daily life and how you behave is also dependent on your food. The other thing which I would like to mention is Sri Ram said that only humans eat for, only humans do, like they kind of eat a lot. But this also happens with animals. If we take an example of a pet, see, this is something which I would like to mention. If many animals are dying, then it's because we are denying them something. It's because of our pollution that we are gifting it to them. And it's because of, we're cutting all of the trees, we're doing so many bad things and they're not getting food. But if we see some animal which is getting a lot of food is our pets. And most of the pets are dogs. So there's a new disease which has just come like a few years ago. It's called Cushing disease. This happens due to overfeeding our pet dog. This is also mentioned in a novel, like in a story of Triumph of Surgery. Next thing is when like eating food can also be set like goals. So there are some books which say like the food you eat can also be treated, like you can treat yourself with food. Most of the times when you get a promotion or when you get a good food, when you get a good job or some good marks, then what we do next is to give somebody a treat. You give them some good food, and also on your birthdays you give them with chocolates, donuts. Also when you have a lot of exam stress, we eat chocolates. So that's something which actually says we live to eat. The last thing which I would like to say is, this may sound really wrong, but I don't like. But I would like to mention this. Like many people, due to various reasons, think of giving up their life. So they use many different various methods, like having sleeping pills or jumping off from some high cliff and many other things. But you also die with if you just stop eating for 5 days. So why don't people just stop eating for 5 days and then they'll just die naturally? So why didn't you see any person who tried that method to give up their life? The last point would be that it is actually some or the other way we are living to eat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Manya. Thank you. Vineet.
Viram said that humans, being intellectuals, are not helping themselves. Instead, they're harming them by eating 3 times a day, and animals don't do that. And he took the example of a tiger, of a lion. Lions are God has made lions in such a way that they don't need to keep eating every day because they can't keep killing an animal every day. So once they eat, they're done for a week. But that's because a lion is a carnivore and it's a lion. You can't just randomly say that nature itself doesn't eat 3 times a day. Several animals do that. Hummingbirds, for an example, each time they fly, they eat 4 times each time they fly. So that's a quite a vague way of saying that nature itself doesn't suggest eating 3 times a day. The lion example, because a lion doesn't need to eat 3 times a day. That's true. I totally agree that a lion doesn't eat 3 times a day because it can't keep killing animals 3 times a day. So it eats once a week, and it eats a big amount once a week. So, but if you look at us humans, we eat 3 times a day because that's how we that science has shown that you need that uh, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are important, and so they have even emphasized that breakfast has to be eaten more. And as you go later into the day, you're not supposed to eat more because it gives a lot of time for it to ferment in our stomach instead of getting digested and used. Yeah, I just needed some clarity on that. Thank you.
Ojal?
Okay. So sometimes this normal lifestyle that many people follow, like 3 times you eat food, that wouldn't suit you. It doesn't suit me myself because for breakfast I just drink milk, maybe a banana, and apple or anything like that, and then I eat lunch and dinner. It continues like that. Or so basically, you could eat less amount of food with shorter periods of interval, or more amount of food with longer periods of interval. It or even the quantity of food depends on you. And my grandfather suffers from diabetes, but he eats a normal amount of food. The only thing is he avoids sweets, and that works for him. So yeah, I don't think it really depends on the time. I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
Atreya?
Okay. So to Sharadi's point, the major cause of obesity in US for children it's for adults 40% of it is overeating, and for children it is 19% because of overeating. Many of the other countries also obesity is due to overeating. It is one of the major cause. Secondly, what Manya said, you are what you eat, malnutrition, how that even related to eating to live? You need to eat to live. They're getting malnutrition because they don't have sufficient food. Eating to live, eating to live is part of malnutrition. To get rid of that, you need to eat. And you are what you eat is exactly what the main point of eating to live is, because you eat and then you see what your goal is. You train your mind to eat. And diabetes can be cured by your diet, mainly by your diet. If you overeat, and if you don't pay attention to what you eat, it could increase your diabetes or not even reduce it. And to what Vineet said, it is necessary to eat 3 times. No, it is not. It is how we have developed our diet throughout all these years. From the time we've been born, we've been eating 3 times a day. What if when you were born, you ate one big meal in the middle of the day, like loads of it? Then you'll have a really big appetite, but you would be eating only once a day. It's not scientifically proven that you have to eat 3 times a day. And to what Manya said, why don't they commit suicide by not eating? Because why would you do that? It's so hard. uh, and how does it even relate to living to eat? Thank you.
Okay, no, today we have to, I think, did we cover everybody in this second round?
Siddharth didn't speak.
No, but did he raise the hand? Siddharth, you want to say anything in the second round?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, please.
Okay, so first, Vineet said that organisms are different and lions are made in a different way, humans are made in a different way, and they have different eating habits. And I agree that nature manifests differently in different organisms, so I support that point. And then it was said that we have developed a bad habit for excessive eating. So, and then eating consistently becomes a habit. So my rebuttal to that is that anything can become a habit over time. We can study too much and become obsessive compulsives. We can eat too much and become obese people. We can drink too much and become alcoholics. We can exercise too much and tire ourselves out. We can do anything in too much, and it's always going to have negative consequences. And the wrong eating habit that was being talked about, that isn't a rebuttal of the point of we live to eat, but that is just description of something called gluttony. So when we say that we live to eat, I'm just saying that eating is an important part of our life, a very important part of our life. And just because it's so constant and we do it so often, it's worth cherishing and savoring more than most other things in our lives. So related to this, Manya mentioned malnourishment. So when we don't have something, we cherish its value. those people who are malnourished know that food is worth working hard for. So when we judge the value of an item, we should try to judge it and its value to people who don't have enough of it compared to those people who have enough of it. So the value of this food is evident from its value to the malnourished because they work so hard for it. We can see the value of that food in their hard work. And then another point was made in general by lots of people, and they said that eating causes lots of harm. So I'm saying that there's a difference between living only to eat and eating as an equally important purpose for everyday life. And then Atria again said that obesity is caused due to overeating, 45% in adults and 19% in children. But that again results in 55% obesity in adults without overeating and 81% in children without overeating. So the cause cannot be attributed specifically. Even the majority is not due to overeating. So I don't think that's a valid enough point to say that obesity is the only cause for, obesity is only caused due to overeating. So that is again overindulgence, and overindulgence is something we can control, something we should control, and it has nothing to do with whether or not life is all about eating. That's not even what I'm saying. So I'm saying that all these points should be taken in moderation, especially the main 4 point, and not as the only point.
Okay. Thank you, Siddharth. Can I have Shiva? 1 second, Harsh.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Can we finish off with Shiva and then we can come to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so first I want to talk about Siddharth's point. He has emphasized heavily on this. He said that the meaning of living to eat, what he meant is that he's saying it's a very important part of life. It does not mean that you have to live to eat, but then that does not mean that we have to always think about eating, and just because it's an important life, that doesn't mean there aren't other important stuff to do. Just like you say, it's an important thing, so you do it every time, huh? That. And then Vineet also said that he said a point that hummingbirds, they've eaten 4 times their weight, I guess, something like that. So I want to say that animals don't have a choice as such, and they eat exactly how much they need, and that's why they don't have such problems like we have. Whereas we, given the choice, we eat more we want just because for our taste buds, and then we get such problems. Yes. And someone has also pointed out that, yeah, it's Siddharth. He has pointed out that 55% of adults and 81% of children get obesity without eating. No one is saying that, with eating, with excess eating. No one is saying that obesity is because of excess eating, you get obesity. We're saying that obesity is a cause of excess eating. Like it's one of, like, it can cause obesity, it can cause other diseases also. It's not the full thing. It's not like excess eating causes obesity. Other reasons are also there, but excess eating is one of the causes of overeating. That's it.
Ojal has a point to make.
Manya, you said something about suicide without eating food for 5 days. So I believe that I said before that a person can go 2 months without eating, like a normal, average, healthy person. I mean, sure, you would feel hungry, but I don't think you can actually die because of that.
Okay, Manya.
I mean, it's of course science that if you don't eat for 5 days, you're gonna.
Can you answer that?
Yeah, of course, it's science that if you don't eat for 5 days, you're gonna die. And you all said it's hard, and that is the reason I'm specifying this point. It's hard to live without eating. So if you say we are not living to eat, then why are we living? So what is the thing? What are we doing? Like, why are we living? Indirectly, we all are doing whatever we are doing it is indirectly for eating. The next thing is like you may have many goals. What if you achieve all your goals and you don't have proper health? You didn't eat properly, you didn't exercise properly. And what if you get everything in the world and you don't have proper health, don't have good health to enjoy all of those? And there's no problem with overeating because your body knows exactly how much you should eat. The wrong part is not dumping food into your body. It's just eat how much ever you want, eat contently, but then give it the right proportion of exercise with the right proportion. You need to do that also to digest the food. The next thing is like, here's a challenge. I give you a plate of ragi balls and in the other plate there's a pizza. I'm sure most of the people would choose the second plate. So this shows why we live to eat more than we eat to live. I guess this is clear.
Okay. So we have to end this session somewhere because some people are getting late. So
Can I make one more point?
Yeah, just one point. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing is I'd like to address the suicide thing, suicide by not eating. It's not 5 days, it's not 2 weeks, it's 3 weeks without food or water, and up to 2 months if you have water but no food. So nobody's going to want to suicide by not eating for 2 months. That's an excessively long time and nobody's going to do it. So it's not 5 days, it's not two weeks. So the other point is, again, I still think that Shiva has it, say Sri Ram has it confused, that again there are other causes for obesity, sure, and then it's not only due to overeating, but that's exactly what I'm saying. And obesity is one of the causes, yes, but other causes are equally important. And then again, I think Mania's misunderstood the point, because she said that everything we do is towards the goal of eating. So when I said we live to eat, I did not mean that. And we don't do everything for the purpose of eating. Eating is one of the purposes. We work to survive, and eating is a core part of survival. Our main purpose is not food, it's survival. And then again, I'd like to stress the fact that living to eat does not mean living only to eat. So that's the main point I'd like to make. Living to eat and living only to eat, there's a huge difference between those 2 points.
Okay. Atreya, a few seconds.
Yeah, first of all, Siddharth, you're going against your whole topic. Your whole thing was to do talk for living to eat. You're going totally against it with all your points. Second of all, yeah, the major cause for obesity in most of these countries is overeating. I'm not saying it's the only cause; it's the major cause. Other causes are really small in quantities, but added up together, they contribute to 55%. And most of the greatest people, greatest civilizations, they had proper diet, and all these rishis, Dwayne Johnson, Bruce Lee, they have a strict diet. They fix on a proper diet and focus. They just don't eat whatever they want to. They do eat sometimes, but they choose how to eat and what to eat. All of these people, and that's how they achieved a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, fine. Harsh, you had some doubt, right? Can you please?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my doubt is that I really want to know that do I really need to have a heavy breakfast? Because during my school times, used to eat breakfast at 7:30, and but then my lunch was at 12 o'clock. So there would be no time for digestion itself if I would have a heavy breakfast.
I think we are not the right people to answer that. Surely, I think your parents know what's best to do, and so we cannot answer this. We are talking in general about food, but usually it is said that there should be a gap of 8 hours between breakfast and lunch. But as I have mentioned earlier, I think you should discuss that with your parents. So with that, we'll end this session. Wonderful session. Actually, we didn't feel like, neither Maitreyi nor me, we didn't feel like we had a gap of, you people had a gap of 3 or 4 months. Pretty smooth, wonderful. So any feedback from anybody? First, I need your feedback and then I can give the feedback.
This session was really good. It was also really fun.
Okay, so we
Uh,
have a newcomer here, Siddharth. So we'll welcome him. And
I think we have two newcomers, Siddharth and
yeah,
Miral.
Miral.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
Miral is another newcomer. We welcome Miral and Siddharth. Siddharth, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Siddharth. I am currently in class. I'm going to class 11 from this year onwards, and I am. I like reading the news. I spend lots of time reading scientific articles and opening up to different sources for information. And I like to discuss the merits and demerits of anything I come across. And I think that it's going to be a new experience and an instructive experience for me. And I hope to help in the
Wonderful.
debates as well.
Wonderful, Siddharth. Thanks a lot. You can learn from the club and the club members can learn from you. So it's a mutual learning here. What the moderator has to say with Sriram, as mentioned earlier, didn't feel like they really had a break. He really had a break. Sharadi was extremely smooth, good beginning and ending. And Sriram opening and ending was good. He started slowly but explained very well about the Hinduism principles, etc. And next, we have Adish. Adish came up with very good points. Your camera presence is extremely good, and I think you are the first one to start. So you had very less time compared to the participants who in the last. That's wonderful. Manya also, it didn't feel like she really had a break. She was talking with extreme confidence. Good point about changing the body into poison. Her opening ending is excellent. No breaks and no pauses. Atreya added the right points for people who live to eat, uh, and mainly, constantly keep thinking of what to eat. Wonderful. Vineet, excellent quotes, and especially the Vivekananda quote. So that's what Ojal, wonderful start after a long break. So it's totally, I mean, it doesn't feel like we had a break. So, and we had a lot of spectators today from the iLead Youth Program and Speakers Forum. I hope they had good time. Shiva's point on medicine will become food, and food will medicines will become food for us is an excellent point. Sorry, I missed about Shiva. I don't know if I missed. She left in the middle, so I couldn't get the remaining feedback. Fine. Okay. So with that, we'll start end this debate session for today. And I wanted your feedback. Can we have twice a month, or shall we stick on to once a month?
Twice a month.
Yeah, twice a month.
Can we have it once a month?
Okay.
Once a month would be better.
Yeah.
I vote for twice a month.
Shiva.
Yeah, even I'll be twice a month.
Adish.
Twice a month.
Okay. And whom did I miss? Manya said twice a month. Ojal. Sharadi.
Twice a month.
Beneath here twice a month.
Okay. Sharadi.
Once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. So we'll see how it goes. Okay then. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye. See you all.
Okay, thank you guys.
Hariom everyone. Good night. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice Sunday.
You all good night. Bye.